Hey, what's up guys? It is I, Mark Yoon, and today I'm bringing another hopefully exciting video. So what I got for you today is something that we've actually touched up on a bunch in the past. We've discussed this a lot together as a community, online as a whole, especially like the Yoon-Fam here, and that's various different ways we can tweak and fix Soul Calibur's various modes and capabilities and battle systems in order to make 7 more appealing, not only to diehard fans, but also to casuals. And the online people as well, the competitive scene. The first thing I wanted to talk about is actually something I had an idea about that I've never actually really touched on before. And it seems to be that there's always a glaring opposition from each end of the spectrum, whether you're talking about single player content versus multiplayer content. So when you're in the competitive scene, and particularly the FGC, there seems to be this kind of like back and forth that goes on to like who cares about the game more, or who actually is, I guess, more widespread part of the actual base community. And I think there's a way that we can actually bring these two communities together, and that is something that we're going to need toggles for. But I want you to hear me out on this idea. So when we go into online, we have like ranked mode and all kinds of stuff, right? And I know in the past we've talked about adding different various modes, like not letting create a character be a part of ranked at all, and just having its own create a character ranked where you can only use created characters and have it as a separate ranking system, and other things akin to that. So I think that is actually a good idea, but this is still keeping single player people away from online and the different multifaceted aspects that brings. So something that I was trying to consider myself is how can we make this more appealing to single player people while still pertaining and still being relevant to the fighting game community as well as tournament goers and such. And I think the idea that I came up with is actually pretty neat. It's something that I would be interested in seeing as well, and that is, ready for it, story mode in online. Now that sounds really simple and it sounds really scary, but this is something that you should have the ability to toggle on or off depending on which version of online you're choosing. And what do I mean by story mode? So we have in Soul Calibur VI, Soul Chronicles, right, which go independently more into individual characters' stories during the timeline instead of being glossed over by the main story or what's not seen or pertained to in Libra of Souls, because that's where you get a big chunk of the lore. Now in Soul Chronicle, it's pretty much like an extended arcade mode, because like you have like not only beginning, middles, and ends, but every single fight that you do, you literally have narrative being baked and built into it, as well as beginnings and endings. A lot of people said that they would rather do this in arcade mode themselves, and while I would agree there should be some aspect of arcade that has some kind of cinematic at the end, I do think that Soul Chronicle did a really good job of conveying different narration of what was happening behind the scenes with separate characters during those events. Now, when I say an online mode, I think that when we go into online, right, let's say that you are going into character creation online, I think that you should be able to create a character, and then when you're using that character in online, you should get some kind of generic like narrative that goes on. Like let's say you're a fledgling warrior, like in the beginning of Soul Chronicle and Soul Calibur 3, and you're working your way up, and as you're defeating enemies or you get to certain points where you're actually like unlocking certain ranks, and you get a little bit of a narration. Like you can either unlock it and go view it in the library, or it could be triggered automatically depending on what your toggle settings are. So I think that if you chose, let's go with Mitsurugi, okay? If you choose Mitsurugi and you're an online ranked, and you're starting out at rank like E or whatever, right? Whatever the base level is for that. As you progress, and let's say you go from E up to D, right? I think once you do that, after there should be an opening cinema for each character, and then after you reach that rank, you should have like an exclamation point or something that you have to literally physically click on to continue. So continue with Mitsurugi's story, press X. Save for later, press circle, you know? And if you press X before you go to your next match, you get a little short synopsis or story about Mitsurugi like wandering the wasteland and searching for strong opponents to help in like grow his own power and strength, right? And we should obviously have end goals for all these characters that are tied into the main story. Something like Mitsurugi knows that he can't stand up against Inferno as he stands, so he must defeat strong warriors so that he can be better prepared to take on the beast, right? And as you're going up and like leveling up through ranks, you get a little bit of narration a little bit of in-game cutscene stuff for that when you press X to actually accept it, and you start seeing like a narrative being built. Whenever you have a narrative forming, the first proxy that you usually get is that people want to actually see where the narration goes, right? When you start something, you want to see it finished. So this would allow you to not only bring your mains into ranked, but to see where the battle goes and the story goes. You actually have like your characters for every individual character getting a new narration. And this shouldn't be generic, it should actually be tied to each individual character and their story and events that you don't really maybe see in the main story or the Soul Chronicle, like something a little bit more subtle, just about like gaining power or about like trying to escape, capture or something akin to that, getting a better weapon, or just anything like that. So as you're going through the ranks and you're unlocking these like little cinematics along the way, and your rank is going up, you have a sense of accomplishment that you're actually feeling because you're unlocking something new. And then I think once you get to like maybe not the max level, but maybe have the cutoff be something like super accessible to people, but still something to strive for, like a rank B or maybe rank A, we can have some kind of like final showdown where you're in ranked, and this doesn't like affect your rank mode, but you have like a special battle with like whatever rival character that you've like maybe lost the most against in throughout your continuation of that journey. So let's say you're Mitsurugi and your weakness is against like Tira players, and you constantly are losing to Tira players, but you're like beating everybody else. Whoever your max loss is to, that would be like your special rival. So at the end, it would search for a character that's using that character throughout like the whole world, right? So like we're going to be in the same region probably if your settings are set to that, and we have a Tira player. Now built into the narration is your goal now, not that it normally isn't to beat this Tira player, is for Mitsurugi to beat this Tira player, not just you. So now you're both tied into this narrative and you want to see where you're going. And there should be things that are unlocked along the way as well. That's a big problem that I've seen with Soul Calibur 6, and a lot of people actually say about past games is they like unlocking stuff, right? So while we're getting up the ranks, we should be unlocking like new lore for the encyclopedia, and we should be unlocking like, let's say, specialized costume parts. Now I know we shouldn't have locked parts behind different modes, but this will again entice single player people to get more into ranked, which would then enhance their skills, which would then make them more comfortable online, which would then tie the two together. So if we add a little bit of narration that you can toggle to save for later or accept right away, and if you have unlockables throughout the way and unlockable lore, I think this will really bring the actual whole community together as a whole. And then the single player people won't be just as distant from the online community as the online community is already from the single player. And this also goes vice versa. There should be a whole different scenario of how to get online only people to actually play the story mode and play the different various modes that are in part of single player, such as Libra and Soul Chronicle. And I think this would also have so you have certain things you can only use towards certain ends. And what I mean by that is, same as you can get those ranked pieces, those articles of clothing or specialized customized weapons or something like that online to unlock in single player, we should have vice versa. And the ones that you unlock in online themselves should really only be for that you can only find there. I don't really believe in randomizers too much, but that would probably extend the gameplay a little bit more. But I think if you're playing a story mode, playing Soul Chronicle, and playing other things, you should be getting certain tattoos or certain affects like stickers and a couple creation parts that are like only usable, not like you can use them offline as well, but like online when you use them, you get like maybe an XP boost or something like that. And they have little affects that only affect online play. So if you're wearing this sticker, you get like a 0.1% XP boost or something that's like not going to affect everyone's gameplay too much, but it's still going to incentivize those hardcore online only people to amass more points more fast, like having some kind of like ×2 or something like that. If we implement these things, I think we can actually bring the community together as a whole, which is kind of a problem right now in all fighting games. There are people that are online only and ranked only that ignore all of the single player aspects of the game, And this has led to a trend that I hate and other people don't like as well, where they call it going esports, where like there's no unlockables within the game, everything's unlocked from the jump, and it's very friendly towards the online community. So that's like you have everything there, so you can just jump right in online. You don't have to worry about the story or the actual game itself, which I know that part of the game is actually getting good and utilizing combos and training and stuff like that, but we need to incentivize both sides to actually reach over and dip into the other side's shoes. So that was my idea for a little bit of how we can fix the problem with the drift between the communities and bring them together as one solidified Soul Calibur community. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below, because we are going to bring this video to an end here. And if you guys want to talk about this more, I'd love to hear about it in the comments. I'd also love to hear about it on our Discord, which you can join. There's always links in the description box below. And with that being said, guys, as I always say, I love it. Thank you.
And thank you.